souls.
The Soul Calibur series is one of my all-time favorite fighting game franchises in the gaming industry, and while the series has had its rocky moments, I still really enjoy the games. Now I know you're probably wondering why I'm not reviewing Soul Edge or Soul Calibur 1 first. Well honestly, I don't own Soul Edge, and don't have a Dreamcast at the moment, so I decided to just move on to Soul Calibur 2. With that said, I'll be reviewing the first two games in the future, so stay tuned for that later. After the very high success of the second Soul Calibur game, released on the Dreamcast, Project Soul began work on Soul Calibur 2 in the span of 2 years, and was released in the arcade on July 10, 2002, and on the home console on August 27, 2003, for the GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. The game was a highly critical and commercial success, and was praised for its improved gameplay and groundbreaking graphics. I'm not going to lie, Soul Calibur 2 was a very nostalgic game for me, but I'm going to try to set aside my nostalgia and give it an honest review. So just how good was Soul Calibur 2? Was it really as good as everyone said it was back in the day? Well, have a seat and sit back because we're about to find out. Now I know that I usually talk about the story first, but honestly, if I were to explain it, we'd be here all day, so I highly suggest playing the game for yourself to experience it. I'll say this though, as far as fighting games go, with the exception of the 2011 Mortal Kombat game, the story is pretty deep for a fighting game. A little too deep, but seriously, it's worth checking out, as the story is filled with lots, and I mean lots of text. Isn't exposition fun? Now when they were saying that this game had groundbreaking graphics, that would be an understatement. For 2003, the graphics in this game were out freaking standing. And that's saying something because the graphics in the first game were breathtaking already. Well, for its time anyway. In my opinion, the opening FMV is one of the best looking intros of the early 2000s. The animation was smooth and very fluid, and it did a nice job of showing off the characters' different personalities. I still get chills when the camera dramatically pans up the mountain to reveal Nightmare. It's insane. The character models in this game looked incredible, with smooth skin textures, refined facial features, and elaborate outfit designs. In fact, I personally believe that the first 3 Soul Calibur games had the best art direction of the whole Soul Calibur series. The game features most of the characters from the last game, but received an additional 4 new characters joining the cast. These characters consisted of Talum, a young wind priestess who uses the Tampa style, Raphael, a sturdy Frenchman who uses the rapier style, Cassandra, Sophia's spunky younger sister who also uses the sword and shield style, and Yun Sung, a cocky, spirited adventurer who uses the longsword style and was a replacement for Huang from the first 2 games. All these characters naturally fit in with the rest of the cast, and played quite nicely. And one of the most innovating additions in this game that most people remember fondly of was the introduction of guest characters. The GameCube port came with The Legend of Zelda's Link, the PlayStation 2 port came with Heihachi Mishima from Tekken, and the Xbox port came with Spawn from the Marvel Comics franchise. Now I can't really comment on Heihachi or Spawn since I've only played the GameCube port of the game, but I heard that they were fun to play as. I definitely think that Link fit the Soul Calibur universe perfectly. It was so surreal seeing him designed in the Soul Calibur style. I mean seriously, look how awesome he looks. We also got one other character named Necrid, who was created by Todd McFarlane, who created Spawn and contributed to other Marvel comics like Spider-Man. I've gotta be honest though, while he had an interesting moveset and design, he looked pretty out of place in the Soul Calibur series. He looked more like a Mortal Kombat character, if anything. So I'm not surprised why they scrapped him out of the game in the later titles. The stages in this game look beautiful. Nice, rich environments with so much detail put into them. You can't help but feel immersed into the environments as you take in the scenery as you maneuver around the stage. If I had to choose my top 3 stages in this game, it'd probably be the Pirate's Cove, the Library, and the Phoenix Court, but seriously, all the stages are bloody awesome. The gameplay has definitely been turned up a notch in this game, as the controls feel tighter and the animation frames look more polished and fluid than ever. You still move on a 3D plane, and you're able to sidestep all around the stage. You still have your basic horizontal and vertical attacks, as well as kick, throw, and guard functions. You can also still pull off things like Soul Charge that increase your attack, but will leave you open for attacks while you charge, and Garden Packs have also returned, and feel even more dynamic. Seriously, you can't help but feel a rush of adrenaline when you pull off a Garden Pack. Character movesets have been expanded upon, and each character possesses a nice amount of moves without being overwhelming. The top 5 characters that I really enjoy using the most are Taki, Cassandra, Kilik, Yeonsung, and Ivy, but really, most of the characters are pretty fun to use. The only character I don't like playing as is Seungmina, who in my opinion has the weakest moveset compared to the other characters in this game, mainly because a lot of her combo moves feel incomplete. But with that said, she gets a lot better in the later games, so it's no big deal in the long run. Other than that, all the characters are fun to play in their own way, so you're bound to find a character you enjoy to play as. The game provides a ton of modes ranging from the classic arcade mode, where you choose a character and battle through 8 stages. On the 7th stage, you battle against a character who shares a relation with the character you chose. And after you defeat them, you challenge the final boss Inferno. Inferno is a pretty decent boss character, though I feel it would have been better if he had his own fighting style as opposed to just mimicking the other characters. But in saying that, he does still put up quite a challenge, so no complaints here. The game also has the other usual modes found in fighting games like Survival, Time Attack, Versus, and Team Battle. This is good. And last but not least, the game also has a Weapon Master mode, which is pretty much like Conquest from the last Soul Calibur game. You pretty much select the character and traverse on a map that's divided into regions, and in these regions, you fight enemies while completing certain missions to gain experience points and gold, which can be used to buy new weapons and a few new outfits for some characters. I personally like using Link when it comes to the dungeon challenges because it's so fun to pretend like he's exploring a dungeon from his home games. This is where most of the replay value comes from if I have to be honest, that'll put your skills to the test. The music in this game is beautiful. Nice atmospheric scores that match the respective levels perfectly, with plenty of traditional instruments as well as full-on orchestral harmonies. I mean seriously, have a listen. So yeah, while Soul Calibur 2's soundtrack isn't my most favorite, it is by no means a bad one. The voice acting in this game was okay, some better than others. This was the first time they used English voice actors, so it's understandable why it didn't turn out perfect. So I gotta say, I really love Ivy and Nightmare's voice actors the most. They sound freaking awesome. And it's a shame they didn't stick around for the third game, let alone did any other voice work after this game. But yeah, even though some of the voice acting was,
You again? I've had enough of you!
Haven't you had enough?
pretty awkward, at the end of the day, it was decent enough. Now this game is chock full of replay value, which is bound to keep your gamer heart busy. For starters, with the 15 playable characters you start off with, you can also unlock an extra 8 characters. Some of these characters are characters from the first 2 games like Sophia, Sylvanas, and Yoshimitsu, to name a few. I also have to mention that one of the other hidden characters named Assassin is pretty much Huang from the first 2 Soul Calibur games. As a Huang fan, I was happy he was included, but that mask isn't fooling anyone. That said, the character roster was great for a fighting game released in 2003, and you can also unlock 5 extra stages to fight on, which like I mentioned before, look beautiful. You can also unlock things like concept art and videos as well. Character profiles also make a return, which you unlock by beating arcade mode with each character. In the character profile, you can read up on your favorite character's biography, as well as their home stage, and even listen to all their in-game quotes. I'm glad that Project Soul kept this feature, because it's a great way to learn about the characters, and get more immersed in the game's atmosphere. Well, at least in my opinion anyway. And you can also unlock the weapon gallery mode, where you can view all the characters' weapons and read up on their short backgrounds to learn about their origins. In saying this, I have to mention how all of Link's weapons were great, as they reference weapons he's used in his games, from the Big Oron sword, to the Megaton hammer, and the Mirror Shield to name a few. Seriously, I love how the developers stayed true to Link's character with his weapons. They did a really great job. Now if I had to choose one thing that I didn't like about this game, it mainly has to do with the 3 hidden characters, Assassin, Berserker, and Lizard Man. You see, when you unlock them, you can only play as them in Versus mode and Team Battle mode, which is just bullshit in my opinion. But other than that, I really can't think of anything else wrong with this game. Replaying this game gave me such an awesome feeling. As I replayed this game for the review, I found myself getting very immersed into it just like I did when I first played it back in the day. While it's true that games like this are best enjoyed with friends to play against, the single player content is enough to keep you entertained. That all said, Soul Calibur 2 gets 9 out of 10. The game deserves all the praise it gets, and I truly believe it's one of the best 3D fighting games ever made. So if you're a fan of 3D fighting games and haven't played this game yet, I highly recommend it. You won't be disappointed. With the success of Soul Calibur 2, Project Soul began work on Soul Calibur 3, which came out 2 years later, in 2005. Was it just as good as Soul Calibur 2? Stay tuned for my retrospective review of Soul Calibur 3 coming soon. Hey there guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more gaming goodness coming soon. I'm Decadent Gamer, and thanks for watching.